Welcome to Across the Apothecary, where we discuss health, chat with health professionals, and try to figure out if bacon is really bad for you. Hey, it's Elizabeth Plouffe with Across the Apothecary, and today we're going to be talking about some communication tips actually for health professionals. And this is one of the reasons I focus my business on healthcare professionals. It's because it's my background, and it is a very specific type of industry, healthcare communications. It's not something that you can roll off the cuff. It's not something that you can do without planning. And that's not to say any other type of communications doesn't require planning, but there's more risk when it comes to healthcare professionals and communications as far as protecting your reputation, inadvertent endorsement, and making sure that you are sharing the correct type of expertise. And that's one of the things we're going to talk about tonight. When it comes down to generating content for healthcare communications, you can't just talk about anything. And I mean, that's a rule that I try and impart on all my clients, is that don't ever talk outside your education or your expertise, because quite frankly, just people won't trust or believe you. And it's especially true for healthcare communications. You are trying to build trust in advance of meeting somebody or treating a patient or what have you. So when you decide to go online and you decide to start building your reputation online and building that trust, it is vital, absolutely vital, that what you put out as far as content, be it a blog post, be it a short video, something that you share on Pinterest or what have you, that you've checked it and that it is valid and that you have the education and the expertise to quantify and qualify what you're saying. And a couple of years ago, I was working with a client, and they had content being given to them by other people to go on their website, which is a fantastic idea, and it's something I'm going to talk about in another podcast. Generating content is hard, and generating healthcare specific content, from my perspective, is even harder, because and it's not that you run out of things to say, but getting help from outside sources, as long as they're vetted, is a great idea. What prompted this idea for me for today's podcast is an article was turned in, and part of my job for this client was to be checking the articles and spelling mistakes and what have you, which is one of the reasons, just a little tip FYI, that if you are a healthcare professional and you hire a communications person, and I know I've talked about this before, in Entrepreneurial Entrails, make sure that they have a healthcare background. You do not want somebody with no healthcare experience or education dealing with your communications if you are talking about healthcare specific topics. It's just dangerous. Don't do it. Try and find somebody. I do it, but there are, in your area, check out healthcare communications. There's Click Health, there's Medicom, there's quite a few. Click is in Toronto. Medicom, I believe, is, I want to say it's out in Waterloo, but I don't think that's right. Anyway, what was turned in was an article on gluten-free diet and what are the implications of having gluten in your diet and what have you. And it's come to pass, more specifically in North America, this problem with gluten as an allergy and as a health disruptor and what have you. And I'm reading this article, and not only was it extremely poorly written, but it made claims that the person couldn't substantiate. If you're going to make statistic claims, if you're going to make any kind of health claims or what have you, you best be able to cite the references and the resources that you've used for this, especially if you don't have a healthcare background. And as I read to the bottom of this and investigated a little more, it turned out the secretary, and I was a medical office administrator, the admin person wrote this article. And the level to which they had made healthcare claims, to which they had disparaged therapies and different health choices, I was absolutely shocked. I had advised the client to pull the article because it was very obvious that this person was not qualified to write it at all. And to me, it was dangerous because you are implying endorsement and implying that the article is correct when you post it on your website. Pardon me. And when you let unqualified staff write pieces outside their expertise for your business, you are implying that you agree with what they've had to say, that you are substantiating that they have the education and expertise to represent your organization or your business or your practice. And I just honestly, I was a bit gobsmacked that this healthcare practitioner had allowed this to happen. It is dangerous from a risk perspective when you're doing a risk assessment, and for any healthcare professional, that should be a part of your communications strategy. Whatever organization you're working for your communications, if you've outsourced it, they should be always having the risk of whatever you're doing online first and foremost, because you can very negatively impact people's lives, and it's just dangerous. So I'm a bit all over the place with this, but again, it's so vitally important that you are really careful about who represents your organization online, who writes articles and blog posts for you, and that you make sure that they are qualified about what they speak. So if you're in a situation where you need to have some content and what have you, perhaps get your staff member, admin or otherwise, to interview you about the topic. Gluten, for example, this was from a naturopathic clinic, I believe. If you writing it is a challenge, I can completely understand that. What you should be doing is helping patients. That's what you've decided to do. You've got the education and the background to do it. But you want to get blog posts out or articles written, ask your admin, put some time aside every month to interview you about a variety of topics. Everybody's got a cell phone. Most cell phones either have it already in it, or you can get an app for it where you can record the interview, and then your admin person transcribes it and tidies it up, and out it goes. That's the best piece of advice that I can give you, is have your admin interview you, set out a list of questions. There's a variety of ways to set up the process, but the best way I can recommend for your information and your knowledge to go out on behalf of your organization and to avoid risk and, quite frankly, judgment, because when I saw this article, I was just, got to be kidding me, slapping my forehead. That's the best way to get around it. So that's the 2 tips for today. 3 tips for today. Make sure when you are communicating for your business, regardless of what it is, that you have the education and the expertise to be offering the opinion. Make sure that whomever is writing pieces on your behalf also has the education and the experience to be writing about what they're writing about. And I'm sorry, but if you have no other qualification except being an admin in a naturopathic clinic, you should not be writing articles that have statements of health and other things. Like, anyway, it just keeps me going, gets me riled, gets me angry. Assess the risk around any piece that you put out, making sure that the claims are valid and what have you. And finally, if there's stuff that you want to talk about, you don't have time, or writing is not your forte, that's totally cool. Again, that's not supposed to be what you're doing. If you happen to be a writer, fantastic, save yourself some time and energy. But otherwise, sit down with your admin a couple of times a month, do some interviews, get them to transcribe the interview, and then neaten it up and turn that into an article. And then you're going to avoid this risk and the potential destruction of trust with clients and patients, and quite frankly, people laughing at you because this article's so goofy. So give it some thought. Definitely, you need to be involved in your communications process. Make sure, if you decide to outsource, that whomever is writing the article for you has the experience and the education to do it properly for you, because you're implying endorsement. You're saying that what's going on your behalf is okay. And if anybody with half a brain reads it and discovers it's a piece of crap, highly doubt they're going to come and pay you a visit, which is one of the main reasons that healthcare professionals should go online. I don't have the statistic in front of me. I just did some research on it, though. And I believe, and I'm saying this because I have done the research, but don't know for certain, it's about 47% of people will read an article online to do with health, which will prompt them to contact a healthcare professional for follow-up care. And if the article is a piece of crap, they are not going to make that call. You want to make sure that the content that you're providing prompts people in the correct way for action and the correct ways to call you so that they can get better. I hope you're having a fantastic day. And next time we will be talking about extending the invitation to colleagues so that the content that you have going out is definitely up to standard for you. Have a fantastic day, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.